Sorry about that. We obviously went down because there was a problem with the internet, which is completely unfathomable to my very small brain. We are now back. You have not missed a thing, except that we did meet the viewers on the expedition. We had a chat with them. They too are on the lookout for Tundian cubs, wild dogs, and rhinos, apparently, because they've seen just about everything else. They've seen the Inkuhumas. There are no wild dogs, Kirsten. Well, not yet, anyway. Maybe a bit later we'll see wild dogs. Let us go and see how our friend Sebwego is going. For those of you who missed it, and I hope that there are very few of you, Sebweg flew for us yesterday. We like to think it was his first flight. We are fairly suspicious that he's been making sort of flights like that every day for the last few, perhaps. Also interesting is that I don't think he's able to gain too much height yet when he flies. He kind of flew a bit and then had to land on the ground. But he's getting there. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience to watch the little owl making noise at his mother, and then his mother came to him and his father was calling from another branch. I'm just assuming that's what they were. And then she flew off to where the father was sitting, and they called, and eventually Sebweg, having stood up and did this weird flapping thing, took off and flew after them. Not very impressively, but it was very cute. And he did a whole lot of head bobbing and dancing while his mother was watching him. I think Aubrey's found the source of the drag mark. Sorry. Let's carry on. It's nowhere near here. He'll follow up. I think he's found a dead Impala. But I don't know if there's anything eating it or about to eat it or lurking in the bushes nearby thinking about eating it. Not sure. He will check for us. What was that about the egg, Kirsten? Oh, his long legs. Yes, not his eggs. His long legs. Amazing, actually, as he stood up and started flapping his wings. You tend to think of him having little legs like that. They're huge. His legs basically go most of the way up to his head. His head's about that big. Then his body's about that big. And then he's got enormous legs underneath, covered by feathers. I mean, it's not quite like that, but you know what I mean. Kirsten says he could play basketball. Yes, I think he may need something in the way of hands to play basketball, but maybe not. Hyena tracks, but no leopard. I tried to encourage Sebweg to fly using Sasageb. I put Sasageb like that on the bonnet of the car, and Sebweg certainly had a look at him. It would have been quite funny, not for Sasageb, if Sebweg had swooped down and grabbed him with his talons mere inches from my face. I think everyone would have laughed quite profoundly. Sebweg would not have laughed, however, when he tried to eat Sasageb and found that he tasted like lint and then had to spit him out. And you were all requesting that Sebweg be the sketch this weekend. Well, as I've said, I'll give it a go, but I'm not sure that any of you are quite advanced enough yet. What is that? I walk in the rain. You're wondering if I recommend an eraser for those who are new to drawing. Yes, I do recommend an eraser. I, of course, am so experienced that I use pen most of the time for my drawing. But you should perhaps start in pencil, like Tony Two Toes is. Tony Two Toes has started drawing in pencil. I think that's actually a badger. I think it is a badger. A honey badger. Here it is. Yes. A honey badger. Or a porcupino. I can't tell in the sand. It's not a leopard and a baby is, that's for sure, that's for sure. Let's go across to the wharf now and find out where he is and where he's going.
Well, thanks very much, James. Well, we've come back onto the drainage and have a look at this incredible scraping created by, I wonder if anybody knows. Quickly send through your answers. Who created this very long scrape mark? This is not a drag mark like that of the leopard dragging a carcass, but have a look at this. This goes for, we're going to measure it while we wait for your answers on WildEarth, hashtag WildEarth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 odd meters. He's been dragging his feet and he keeps going around the corner. He keeps going, drags more and more. That is incredible. Now, this is an animal scent marking, dragging their feet while they urinate to deposit the poo as well as the smell of their urine onto the ground. Chris, you got it 100% right. Anyone else get the word rhinoceros? Lynn and Sharon, you've all got it. So this is a very characteristic sort of behavior for white rhino, especially after it's been raining. Their territory is demarcated by urine and by their middens, and after it's been raining, that's all washed away. So these sort of things are something rhinos do quite commonly, but I've never seen a white rhino drag this far. Black rhino, they do. They drag very, very far. This maybe could be because of a guy having maybe a bit of a conflict with another male. Maybe he's trying to show himself by dragging, or there's a female in estrus nearby and he's trying to show how big and strong he really is. If you look inside of the track itself, you'll actually be able to see the very nice, let me see if I can get it for you, very nice footprint of the rhino as it lifts its foot. You just get a little bit of a track left behind. I'm sure we'll get you one. Yeah, there we go. Right over here. This is the drag. You can see how he's dragged here. One drag, and then his foot. If you got this, BK, there's his toe, front toe, back toe. So they drag with their back legs, everybody. Rhinos will use their back legs to drag. They'll drag like this with their front feet, pulling them forward. And that is exactly what that is. It looks like a quad bike has been doing some wheel spinning over here. And it's only the males. The females don't do this kind of behavior. Okay, well that was very cool to see. I wonder if James has ever seen a white rhino drag over 17 meters. First for me, seeing such a lengthy drag. Normally you see them just off the side of the road doing these little scrapes. Because they use the roads just like game paths, just like we use the roads for making life easy. Rhinos will also use riverbeds like this as natural barriers. Yeah, Lou the lion drag racing in the bush would actually be quite dangerous, but fun nonetheless, wouldn't it? Well, these cars aren't designed for speed. They're designed for power. See, there's another one. He's walked along here and he's just going again and again and again. Sorry that I Not getting the best view of that, but you're going to get stuck in the sand there. That's from last night, early this morning. So you can expect Tingana and Hukumuri to start being sort of scent marky, territorial scent marky, walking around after the rain has washed away their signposts. The lions as well will also be vocal and calling, and obviously vocal is calling, and will probably lay down fresh applications of scent. Okay, well, I've really worked this area for that male leopard and nothing's come out. Mouse about the house or something like that. You want us to find dung beetles, I will do my best. We don't have too many elephant on the property at the moment, and I haven't in the last couple of days seen an active rhino midden. That's where you'll find a lot of these dung beetles. They are sporadically all over the place. We're getting lots of them at night, being attracted to the lights at our camp, but I'll find you one. Definitely find you one. I'm sure we'll find some. There's plenty of them around at the moment, the big ones. Hello, Krista. You want to know the difference between white and black rhino? Now, I could tell you quite easily, but I think it's best to just show you. There's a very, very easily to identify the size. Now, white rhino track gets up to 30 centimeters. Black rhino track doesn't get bigger than 24. Big male black rhino won't get bigger than 24 centimeters. So it's very important to measure. Then the toes of the black rhino are quite easy to identify when you get, okay, 94. Okay, so let's do the white rhino track first. For some reason it's much further away. Why is it there? Sorry, everybody. Why aren't they together? That is bizarre. Bizarre. White rhino. 88. Okay, so it's just before. Let me show you. Hey, I can't even navigate my book this morning. There we go. Okay, so here is the white rhino track. Now, you see at the back here, it's a very pronounced W. Can you see the W? For white. Now, if you look at the toes there, that toe there, and that toe there, if you had to measure it and put it inside, you could only put it inside there once. Do you agree? That is essentially the same size as that, maybe slightly smaller. You couldn't put it in there twice. Do you agree? And there's sort of a little bit of a gap between the toes over there. Now, the size here gets up to 30 odd centimeters. This one says 25, but that is a large track. Now, black rhino, let me just switch across. There we go. Now here it says 20 centimeters for the black rhino, but have a look at those toes. Now that toe you could essentially put in there twice. Do you agree? It's very, very small, and that's very big, and there on the edges is a very, very big angle between the front and the back toes. So that is the easiest way to identify them, and there's a W, but it's a little bit of a low W, and it's not often that clear in the sand. If we go over here, you'll be able to see that you don't really see the W here, and look at the toes very clearly. That is much smaller than the front toe. Do you agree? BK, do you agree as well? Yep. Very good. Okay, well, there's some nice photos of some tracks. I told you I could explain it to you. Oh yes, that's a book by Lee Guttridge and Steph Winterboer, I'm sure, has given many of the photos. Steph and Lee are very good friends. Lee Guttridge. Very good friends. Can you hear the Levalent's cuckoo? Wheel, wheel. He's up here. Can you hear him? Wheel. Levalent's cuckoo. Jessica, you want to know, will rhinos scent mark over each other's feet? They will, actually. But what you find is that they've got, say for example, this road is the territorial boundary. You'll have the rhinos walking along this road, and the one will sort of keep to the the left-hand side, the other one will keep to the right-hand side, and that will be the boundary. So very, very prominent landmarks such as this riverbed or major roads or river courses are certain things that they will definitely use. It's the same as leopards. They'll also go up to the same tree along that pathway and scent mark on the boundary, and then they know where the boundary is. As soon as that boundary shifts, that animal's going to change that boundary. So all these animals are willing to expand their territory if they find territory next door is available or unoccupied, and having no scent to it within a few days after rain indicates that the previous occupier is possibly not around, and that's how they will claim it. That's what Hukumuri was doing last year when Tingana was struggling to get around. He was just moving in and just encroaching and encroaching and encroaching to a point where we thought he was really going to take over most of this property, but he didn't. Tingana came back, as any dramatic TV show would show you. The villain and the lead player, there's always something that goes on towards the end, but I don't think we've seen the end of that story just yet. Ooh. Okay, well, let me get this handheld radio off before I keep changing the channels on, and then I can't hear Kirsty. Oh, tangling myself up. Sorry. It'd be lovely if this was all wireless. Wireless would be great. No cables. Okay, we're going to head straight down, see if we can figure out where Thandi might have been. I was going to look around the area of Mamba and Mamba Loop. It's my initial plan, and James was with Sebwig. I wonder what his plans are now.
I can't find Sebwig. I can't find his parents either. Top and bottom side here, no puffs of feathers either. The lioness did go straight past them. The lioness, as if you know what I'm talking about. A lioness came past this area. No, I mean, they must have seen hundreds of predators over the last few weeks coming past here. I can't see Sebwig or his parents. I don't know if they've moved on. What's happened? Sebastian was just saying, if we don't find him now, if we don't find him now, the best would be to come here in the evening, just because they were so vocal, all of them last night.
Sorry about that, everybody. Unfortunately, in the search for Sebwig, quite often find yourself in quite low signal areas. So I'm sure he'll sort himself out. I've been on the vehicle that's been giving the signal issues of late. Rusty seems to be a little bit lower in signal than Sebwig. Yesterday morning, I went to Sebwig, we framed him up. Couldn't get my signal, and James went 5 minutes later and he had a wonderful sighting with him. So, anyway. Okay, so down we go. Thandi crossed around here yesterday up towards Chelapan. That's where James originally had her, or where they found her here by Pangolin, and then they found her, well, that was yesterday morning. Yes, and then, oh, I'm getting confused. No, that was the evening before, yeah. And then yesterday morning found her on the fire break. So this Milwati area, this is an area I've followed her a number of times. Oh, there's a little baby Impala. Hello, Mama. You're doing such a good job. Let's get it for you. A lot of you might be wondering why the baby Impalas are all sort of on their own like this with Mum. Generally the first 2 weeks or so after birth, Mum will hide the babies away while they get a little bit stronger, and then suddenly in the next day or so, well, depends on how long it's been, but there's been a few very newborn Impalas of late. They're all a little bit later than last year, due to the rains possibly, and so as soon as Mum is happy that the youngster is sort of doing all right, they'll put them together in these little nurseries. So that's why we're seeing so many Impala alone and not in their groups. Obviously, once they're in the groups, they're a little bit more safe because of safety in numbers, but also when they're like this, they're okay because of the concealment factor. Mum's able to sort of, the impala goes flat and just waits, and mum goes away and sort of feeds in the nearby area, and every time the baby needs to suckle, mum will come a little bit closer, providing some milk, and moving off again, and the baby will go flat again. But soon you'll see them all together in their little nurseries. I think last year already, by sort of this time, they were all already in their nurseries, whereas this year it's a little bit slower. But I think the afternoon before yesterday, I had that impala still with a placenta after birth, sort of hanging out of her, so that was very, very new. The baby still looked very, very moist and damp from what was probably a very recent born. Okay, well, James is putting in the effort, and he's managed to find a very cool little Sebwig.
There is Sebwig. Sebastian spotted Sebwig and both of his parents today. I didn't spot any of them. We drove straight past them. Straight past them when we came past here. It's just amazing how well they hide and how carefully you have to look. Yes, Gina, I think it definitely is possible for birds to become habituated, and I think these birds have become habituated. We couldn't park this close to the mother about 2 weeks ago. She wouldn't allow it. She'd fly off as soon as we got this close. We're now less than 10 meters from us, and she hasn't even opened her eyes. Also, Sebwig used to stare at us with his bright yellow eyes open, and at the moment he's just fast asleep. He's had a busy night. He is fast asleep. Look at him breathing heavily. Shame, he's had such a busy night of learning to fly and eating mice. No, I think as far as I'm aware, our Laura Moore, what happens is that the down does in fact disappear and it is replaced by other feathers. I think. There's a bird just above us here making a tremendous racket, and it is the female Wahlberg's eagle that lives up here. She caught something there, Seb. I think she's got something. Well, she decided that she's now a vegetarian. What is she doing? She's trying to... A snake?
No, maybe it's a twig.
I think it's a twig. I think she's maybe trying to get nesting material. They've had a baby. We've seen them feeding their baby. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nesting material.
Oh, very interesting. Sebwig has opened his eyes now and realized we're not looking at him. He's shocked. Cute, eh? Such a cute little fellow. I think that eagle, if it found the baby owl on its own, would certainly try and eat it. I think the eagle would think twice about trying to eat the baby owl with the adult owl there. I think the adult owl and the eagle would leave both of them severely injured. So Wiggs is moving a bit. He's hunkering down a bit into his little hole. Silver fox sounds were around. Yes, he'd go a hiss, actually a rattling hiss. And his parents were making their lovely owl sound. Ooh, doo, doo. Ooh, doo. Ooh, doo, doo. And he was making a nasty hissing noise. Sorry, boy. Don't be insulted. He looks very fluffy today. He looks like he needs a cuddle. So, Big, do you want to cuddle? He must do, sir. I guess he must fly back up into the tree. Or at least sort of hop and climb and flap a bit. I don't know how he got up as high as he did yesterday, but there must have been some form of flight involved, because it's not like there was a logical ladder of branches that he could have just hopped up to. So there must have been a level of flying. Little claws, not so little. So cute. What can you see, Sebas? Not much. Can you hear the lovely swizzling sound of the weavers there? You like that, Sebas? Are you happy it's not raining anymore? Matome says that owls are associated with bad luck in most African cultures. Thank you, Matome. They're actually associated with bad luck in not only in African cultures, but certainly in quite a few cultures. And I remember a wonderful book that I read way back when I was a kid, I think by John Steinbeck, called I Heard the Owl Call My Name. And that was all about the owl calling you to death, when you go to wherever you go after you die. And that was about some North American, Canadian, what was the correct term these days? First Peoples. North American First Peoples. Kwakiutl. Obviously I'm getting the pronunciation completely wrong. But there the native Canadians had the same kind of beliefs that many African cultures have. So I suspect it's fairly worldwide that owls represent something, if not sinister, otherworldly, and to do with death and passing over to wherever we pass. Well, Spara, that's the beauty of cultures, I guess. You can have your own culture and your own cultural identity to go with owls, and you think that they should represent good luck. I mean, I certainly don't see them as representing bad luck. I really enjoy them. Host nation, not First Nations. First Nations people, yeah. First Nations people. That will change again in the next few weeks, no doubt. Which is absolutely fine, I guess. This is an interesting discussion, actually, because yesterday I mentioned the Bushman people. And a very kind viewer, who was actually an academic, got hold of me and said, now, with all the greatest respect in the world, and, you know, very nice interaction we had on email. And he said, you know, you shouldn't really refer to them as Bushmen anymore because it's considered not PC, and it's, you know, it's a bit insulting, and it's a colonial term. And you should refer to them as Khoi or San, and the Khoi were a different group of people, and the San, you know, likewise similar, but the San were the Bushmen, and the Khoi seemed to be a different offshoot. Anyway, I had learnt that that was no longer acceptable anymore either, and so I wrote that back to him, and I said, you know, any kind of, maybe you could do some research, or we both agreed to do some research, which I then didn't do because I got myself busy doing other things, and he did it for me. Or, sorry, he or she did it for me. I'm actually not sure how to pronounce their name. Anyway, and came back to me and said, no, Khoisan is probably the best way to describe the Bushmen here. So you use one word, the Khoisan, because Bushman is a colonial term that refers to, it's derogatory. So it is Khoisan people we refer to now. And in South Africa, of course, that's very important. It's very, very important that we, especially here, get that sort of thing correct. So I'm very grateful for that. The most correct terminology is Khoisan. It denotes more as an economic designator, sometimes more than an ethnic origin. Interesting. Thank you very much to Danelle Carriger, I think. That is the correct name. Correct way to pronounce the name. I think it's a she too. Thank you, Danelle. Anyway, so yes, quite happy to use the term First Nations people. I think people should be allowed to decide what they're called, and if they wish to change what they're being called, that's also fine. Now we are going to go across to the Vov. He doesn't have a choice about what he's called. He must be called the Vov.
Thanks, James. How enlightening. Okay, well, we're just checking up. Got a very faint female leopard track over there on this road called Mamba Loop, going into this little drainage, but it's very hard to tell how fresh it is. Substrate's quite sandy and hard. It's a perfect area for a leopard to be denning. Perfect. Carly, you want to know how much territory they have? It's very hard for me to give you an exact number. What they've worked out in the Kruger is that generally there's about 3 females that fit into the territory of a male. And the territories of the males are determined, and the females are determined by food resource. It's probably why we have so many leopards in the Sabi Sands. There's so many small general game. But if you go to areas where the food's less available, the territories are much bigger. Same with lions and hyena. Their territories are directly related to the food resource. I don't actually have a number for you, but females are a third of the size. How's that for maths? A third, 33.3% the size of the males, generally. There's a bit of overlap. Oh, what is that? Is that a Battalier eagle? You can see it just through the gap there, BK, in that tree. it's not a Bateleur. Oh. Looks like a brown snake eagle. Initially, let's get a closer look, shall we? No feathers. Oh, I thought you're going to... I don't think we're going to get closer there, I'm afraid. He's gone. Yeah, looks like a brown snake eagle. He's just taken off. Very white underwing and featherless legs. Not 100% sure. They didn't get the best view. John, no, there's not. First time I ever saw a crowned crane was in the Sabi Sands, but I do think they occur in very wet areas of South Africa. I can show you exactly. I do know that they are a South African species, but just not commonly seen because we don't have the same sort of wetland systems that the Mara essentially has, which obviously provides the perfect habitat for the crowned cranes. But I think they do occur in northern Botswana, and I'm sure there are some sightings in South Africa. Let me just try and get my app to work. These little pathways, you've got to check all these pathways along the way. Okay, so here's the distribution of the crane. So it's actually quite a decent size distribution. Now, let me actually make that a little bit better for us, shall we? Bird page. There we go. It's actually a little bit, quite a decent sized area. So there's Etosha up there in Namibia, Okavango Delta up that side, and that into Zimbabwe. Obviously quite prominent. I'm not sure what that is over there in Mozambique. And then obviously down here, this is the forest biome up into the Lesotho Mountains. Over there, it gets quite wet, and there's obviously some wetland systems there that provide them the perfect habitat. But they are regarded as vulnerable, and I've never seen one in South Africa. Only in the Mara. It was very cool to see the amount of cranes we saw up there. We do have the blue crane, which is the national bird of South Africa. They occur all over the country. Huge amounts of fynbos have been turned into wheat and farmland, and the cranes actually have increased in number down in sort of the Cape area. I actually had a blue crane nesting in my garden when I was a very small boy, which was quite cool. The national bird of South Africa, the blue crane. Not as exciting as a martial eagle or what else could there be? Okay, well this drainage to my right hand side is an ideal denning spot for a female leopard. Thandi was in I think March last year. She was just up here with Klalamba on the other side of the road. Scott was around. He spent a lot of time tracking and finding her around here. And we know that these leopards have a little bit of a, they like to go back to areas that they've had success. I haven't really even been on this side of the reserve since I've been back. Who knows, maybe we'll have some luck this morning. I have promised James though, if we do find Thandi, I'm going to call him in, because he's dying to spend as much time as he can and take as many photos of her and her little cubbies. But it looks like he's moved on from Sebrig and he's found one of the loudest birds nesting.
Well, this is the nest that Steve found the other day. And this is the Hardidar nest, and obviously there's some eggies in there. Many of you writing through to say that the First Nations people chose that name for themselves, which is great. Thank you very much for that. As I say, I think everybody has the right to be called whatever they want to be called, especially in areas that have a conflicted colonial past, like the area I'm in. Thank you for that information. As I said to you at the beginning of the drive, I have learned and continue to learn so much from all of you. There's a cuckoo calling above us. Beautiful sound. Now, the Hardydars have produced eggies here before. What's that, Kirsten? Yes, we did see them in this nest before. Well, we've seen them on this tree before. I'm not sure it was exactly this nest. And Steve found them nesting here a few days ago. And normally they're quite shy. No, they're babies. There were 3 of them. They got to the point of walking up and down the branches, and then we came down here one day and they were gone. They looked so vulnerable. They had hardly any protection. The parents would leave them for ages. And, I mean, obviously they're fairly successful breeders because there's so many of them. But I think that any predator coming across the nest would have a field day. Let's just have a quick look at how many eggies arrive. Right, Rachel, I will tell you now, 1 to 5 eggies. About 2.5 is the average. Clutches of 1 to 2 eggs, possibly incomplete. Incubates, single egg. Hang on a second, sorry. Incubation period is 25 to 28 days. By both sexes, in shifts of up to 3 hours at a time. A changeover, nest material brought by the incoming bird and presented to the incubating mate. Isn't that cool? Huh. And let's see how long they take to fledge. Nestling period 33 to 40 days. They're only able to stand firmly at 20 days. Walks on branches around the nest at around 34 days. So they made it to a month last time. Flies at 35 days, short distances. 37 days may fly to the ground. Leaves nest area around 49 days. Fed by adults up to 60 days. And sometimes remain begging from the adults for 110 days. So 3 months, the whole process is over once they're born. Hi Ruth, you say the branch above her looks like a treble clef. No, so it's the curved one there. Curved one next to her. It does a bit, yes, I suppose. I'm trying to remember how to draw one of those. Yes, I suppose it does. Oh yes, Kyla, I think that you'd find a leopard, especially a young leopard, would climb up there absolutely and filch everything it could out of that nest. Sounds like the Nkuhumas have killed a giraffe.
Really?
Yeah, on Chitwa, I think. I'll get an update from Dylan. Steve's quite close. But let me try and get an update. Now the radio's going crazy. Why isn't my radio? Oh, my radio's not on scan. That's why I didn't know that. Silly James. No, I don't think they've just killed it now. Yes, during the night. I don't think, I think they found it there dead. Kirsten's just asking if they killed it now. Cool. Yes, it has definitely happened. I just don't know where it is. Okay, well, that was a nice sighting of this little ha-da-da-da-da-da-da. Ha-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Steve had actually just found the tracks of the Nkumas, so he'll tell you about them now.
Yes, well, we found the tracks of the lions, and I thought, well, seeing as I've been talking about cubs and lion tracks, people wanted to know the other day the difference between a lion and a leopard track. How do we figure that out? And the Nkumas have crossed along Leadwood towards Cheetah Cut Line, and they've actually been found towards Nkoro, or Torchwood and Koro area, and we just killed a kudu. That's what I hear on the radio. So, fortunately, we don't have access. But poor little kudu. So here we can clearly see we've got a lion track here. This is clearly a lion. It's going quite quickly. You can see how far forward this track is from the other one. They're walking relatively quickly and heading in that direction. Quite easy to see. Track is quite big. Female lioness, 13 odd centimeters. And right next to it over here, not as clear in the sand, is a couple scuff marks. But remember, when you have a track, you're always going to find more along the way. So let's move up a little bit along the way here. We'll get another track over here, another track over here. So this is track of at least one of the cubs. Now, what's very interesting about this, and we want to discuss what's the difference between leopard track and a lion track. And a lion track's obviously much bigger, and cub tracks of lions can be confused with leopards. But when you're following lions and you get these little leopard tracks in between, well, then you've got to have a little bit more of a thought. Okay, now if we look right into this track, BK, can you see into this track here? You can see the pad is quite big. The toes, we can see they're all clearly there, 4 toes. It's quite wide, and look how big it is. And this is my knife over here. That is 10 centimeters already. 10 centimeters, so that is the same size as a male leopard. But what's happening here is that in a leopard track, you generally, what we call this area here, it's also known as a pinch, but we call it negative space. Can you see that? Between the toes and the back pad. Now, in a lion, there's a lot of negative space between the back pad and the toes. When we have a leopard, this area here is much narrower. It's still there, but it's far more narrow than in a lion. And so you look for negative space, but also look at the size of this. And this is one of the younger cubs, probably one of the, sorry, not the younger cubs, one of the of Ridge-Nose's cubs, the 2. So that is a 7-month-old lion. That is the same size as a male leopard. But also male leopard, these front toes are a little bit bigger. These toes are still going to grow. Still going to get a little bit fatter. So when you look in here, there's lots of lion tracks and there's a number of cub tracks. So if you're not certain, have a little look. You don't normally have leopards in 3s, 4s, 5s, or 8s as youngsters walking along. So I hope that's shed a little bit of light on the lion versus leopard tracking. And as these get just a couple more weeks, couple more months older, impossible to confuse them with a leopard because they're going to be 11, 12 centimeters, which just measure, and you'll get that. A leopard won't get bigger than 10. No way is bigger than 10. Okay, well, we are still heading around this block, I know where James is because I know where the Hardy-Dar nest is. So we're not far. He's actually over here. Is James is he gonna go there? Because if he's not, I might go and have a little look-see. Yeah, so I thought James has obviously heard the radio slightly differently to me. Maybe I didn't interpret the Shanghai name. Sounds like they've said it's a giraffe. I thought I heard, I got the Shanghai name wrong. Dulamiti is actually another word for giraffe. It's the Zulu word for giraffe. I know the the Shanga word Nuntwa. But apparently there's about 74 standbys. So we can maybe try get in there, but that could be quite fun. It could be quite fun in the open areas of Chitwa. I heard it was somewhere visible from, I don't know. I have to have another listen. James obviously heard better than I did, but we're not far away. So when you leave us, I'll probably get onto the other channel and have a little listen. And so if it's on Gary Main, that's going to be a nightmare. Anyway, maybe we can do it. But while we head around here, we're still sort of having, see, there goes all the line tracks straight along, beautiful little game paths. That's why we check those hippo paths, because we know that these animals like to utilize them. Okay, well, James is on the move. He's interested for me to go down south. I wonder what he's going to get up to then.
I'm not interested in anybody going down there right now because there are about 35 people trying to get into that sighting, and because it's on a boundary between the two reserves, it means that it's just going to be absolute mayhem. The Buffelshoek guys have just heard about it. They'll be high down there at 100 miles an hour. Everybody from the east is trying to have a look, but it seems from the slightly confusing radio story and our lack of signal, it would seem that it is a giraffe, and it is on, I think it's just on the sort of Chitwa boundary. Anyway, yeah, we'll see. I don't know that either of us will get in there today before the drive is up. No, probably not. Anyway, we're going to just keep on searching around this part of the reserve, see what we can find here. Looking on termite mounds into the trees. I do remember my first Tundi sighting, Michael. It's quite unusual for me to remember something like that. It was on Gari Main Road, just inside Torchwood, and we were on the fire break. And she was just lying in a tree there. I have a picture of her. I remember that. My first impressions of her were, wow, there's yet another magnificent leopard. And we didn't see her much in those days because she spent most of her time on Chitwa. And we didn't drive Chitwa just yet. We were driving Cheetah Plains then. We didn't drive Chitwa. And we didn't drive Torchwood. So we hardly saw her. And then we started driving Chitwa and we saw her a bit more. And then only when Karula died did she start coming across here much more. She took over Karula's territory, her mother's territory, basically. There we have got a kudu. Beautiful. Two bulls having a calm and peaceful morning. No, everybody, I've got absolutely no idea how many cubs there are in the sighting of the Nkuhumas. It's really impossible to tell what's going on the radio. That kind of detail they're not going to give you. They're just saying Nkuhumas and cubs. on a giraffe kill, and then everyone says, I'm coming now, I'm coming, well, me too, I'm also coming, standby 75 available, no, I'm standby 74, I got in here before you, no, you didn't, how dare you say that to me, yes, I did, no, you didn't, okay, well, that's fine, I just stand by 3, no, then 3 or 4 people come on the radio, what's that sighting, what's going on there? And Biffleshook hears that something's going on as they're having their morning coffee, and they get on the radio. Guys, what's going on down there? What's going on? Hey, what's happening down there? And by that stage, the giraffe's been finished. The cubs have moved on, become adults, and had their own cubs. And here we are, looking peacefully at kudus. And then somebody else gets on the radio and starts feeding garbage to the others, and so there's just mass confusion caused. And not everybody's on the same channel, and so one who's got a vague signal of the one channel is trying to relay it to the others on the other channel. It's like Watty from Finding Nemo. Yes, it's very like that. It's very like the seagulls from Finding Nemo. I hate to confess this, but I have never seen Finding Nemo. I'm sorry. Kirsten says we're going to watch it tonight. Kirsten, of course, has forgotten that she falls asleep after 3 minutes of any kind of film. But they say that it doesn't matter because I have to watch it. I mean, Finding Nemo is to the sea what The Lion King is to the terrestrial wilderness, isn't it? It's because that's what Lawrence told me. Lawrence told me that it's like the Lion King of the sea. Basically, it's where everybody derives. Here comes somebody on their way to the lion sighting. Elephant Plains has got involved in the action. Linda, you and I are one. You say that you haven't seen Finding Nemo either. We, I think, Linda, are probably the only 2 people on the planet who have not seen Finding Nemo. I don't know why I haven't seen it. I haven't made a conscious effort not to see it. I wouldn't mind seeing it. I just haven't. Ooh, what's that? Is that a wildebeest? I know there are a lot of sticks in this shot, but I think it's a wildebeest. Stephen, all the credit in the world to him, has actually signed himself into the lineup. He is now on standby 7. There is absolutely no way that I would ever have been able to bring myself to do that. Good for him. Oh, here comes another one speeding past. So basically what we have is the lions on the kill, and we have Simbambili, Elephant Plains, Arathusa, Chitwa Chitwa, and shortly Biffleshook, and I don't think the Djuma guys are going to bother. I think they've given up with that. And probably Cheetah Plains. 6 lodges flying down there to try and get into the lion sighting. That means as a guest, you're going to get maybe 10 minutes with the lions. No visual. Alright, so let's carry on. As long as we can count the cubs. Steve will manage to do that. Steve's also very cleverly got himself at the end of the lineup, which means that by the time he gets in there, most people would have come and gone, and he may well be able to spend a bit longer there. for you already. I found a Clerodendron tenatum yesterday, believe it or not, Judy H, and I actually thought to myself, I can't believe this, but I don't remember what this plant's called. And then your request came through today, and I said, ah, yes, that's what it's called, Clerodendron tenatum. Here it be, right here. This disgusting, smelling plant, and it's just started to flower. Here you are, Judy. Here is Clerodendron tenatum. The flowers are very pretty, and they'll get much prettier than this one is showing, because, well, shame I've actually picked this one. I probably shouldn't have, so its days of growing are over, but there are lots and lots of them around. And they pop up, and they smell horrific. They smell like diesel mixed with some kind of rotting flesh. Am I shaking? I think you'll find it's the wind. It's the wind. That's the hands of a surgeon.
Is that the one you were saying that
Yeah.
smells like diesel?
Just break a leaf off that, Sebastian, and smell it.
Smell it.
Ugh. Break a leaf off and squash it.
Oh, yeah.
It's horrible, hey?
I remember smelling that on bushwalk now.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
So I said to Seb today, do you know the plant that I mean? And he said, no, he didn't really know. And I said, you'll know it as soon as you smell it. You'll know that you've stood on it before and made it smell. And that's exactly what's happened.
It also smells a bit like burnt, no?
Yeah, like burned.
Something
Yeah?
burnt, yes. Yeah.
So I don't know what. I suspect that's just to stop it being eaten. I cannot imagine anything putting that in its mouth. But the flowers get big and white and with the pink anthers. It's beautiful. Not anthers, stamens. Judy H., you, Linda Poley, and I are the only 3 people in the world who've never watched Finding Nemo. And many of you now confessing to being part of the elite club of people who have not watched Finding Nemo. Ex-Ranger, you too. Gosh, I am in some really fine company here. Ex-Ranger, you want to know if I'm going to make notes when I watch it so that you can know that I watched it to the end. Well, I mean, maybe I should keep some notes. I don't know. No, I don't think I'm going to keep notes. So I'm avoiding jitters. I don't understand. Oh, wedding jitters. Is that why I'm shaking so much? Thank you, Henry Fan Club. No, I'm not shaking so much because I have wedding jitters. You know, when you get to my advanced age in life, such things don't affect you. Not scared at all. I think it must be much more scary for the person who's getting married to me. Well, it certainly should be. Let's go back to Steve, find out about his brave mission to the Nkuhumas.
Well, our brave mission. We are on standby 6 at the moment, everybody. So it could be a while. So we're going to just pop onto Chitwa here, do a little bit of a scratch around, go and see what the watering hole's looking like. I haven't been back to Chitwa since I've been back. And then just keep my ear open for them to say it is time to come. Really feel a little bit sad. I suppose we've had the Nkumas for a few days now, so yeah, let all these guys have their time. Have their time with the lions. I'm just keen to get in there and count them. Count them. After thinking about it yesterday, I think that the pregnant lioness, the one we think is pregnant, I think she was the one that was missing. I thought I counted her, but then on looking back, it wasn't her. But where the 9th cub is, we don't know. We don't know. Might be eating some giraffe, indeed. So it's lovely to see. Well, we haven't got there yet, but the Nkumas are catching big game. It is exactly what their cubs need. Obviously, the adults need the food as well. But it'd be interesting to see if maybe any of the evoker males are maybe with them, because a giraffe, pulling down a giraffe is a very difficult thing. Very difficult thing to do. So if it's just the lioness, maybe it's a youngster that they've caught. There are a few young giraffe around at the moment. Anyway, we'll be able to update you more when we get in there. Someone's just asked on the radio, who's the standby one out of 1 million standbys? Obviously, that's a little bit over-exaggerated. Eh? Okay, so they're starting to make space for people. That's very good, but now we're on standby 5. Started off on 7. Started off on 7 and now we're on 5. And maybe, you know, a lot of pressure, a lot of lodges down these parts, and they've got quite a strong pull when it comes to going in and out of sightings. They all want to share, see them, so they will explain to the guests exactly that it's busy. So if need be, we can always come back. You know, I think we're quite blessed on Djuma that we get times when we get to stay with the animal all day, which is very special. Very, very special. Okay, so we are getting onto Chitras. We're probably going to have to change our mast in a moment, but while we figure out our signals, let's go over to Mr. James Hendry.
We are driving along. That's basically all I can tell you right now. I did see a towny eagle, but it has flown away. Sorry, Chris, 1 second. Sorry, guys, what sighting is that in the Mawati? Copy, just go the position again. Can I come make my way? Okay, copy, I'm on my way from Shibama Road. Somebody's bumped into Tundi, naturally. It wasn't Byron and Singer, it was Duncan, also from Biffle's Hook. Sorry about that. Unbelievable. Oh well, I'll take someone else's luck. No problem.
Yeah, no problem. Now we can't use there.
Sorry, go again. I'm going to drive quite fast, everybody. I'm sure you understand. Two people have driven that road today and seen nothing. Alright, the Volv is on Chitra. Let's go across to him. I'll get to Tundi.
Yeah, thanks, James. We on standby 4 now, so things are definitely moving. But wow, radio is unbelievable, everybody. Okay, let's go over there. We don't need to see my face. Everybody's come to beautiful Djuma watering hole. A little bit of water. It got more water than last time I was here. And one of the resident pods of hippos. So it's a great time to just relax, have a little bit of a coffee. These are one of the, I know a lot of people come out to Africa to see the animals, but having the coffee and the sundowner stop. So actually sometimes some of the most memorable moments that you will have just standing out here, maybe sitting on the side with your cup of coffee or gin and tonic, whatever it might be. We don't judge early in the morning. And just absorbing in the atmosphere and the sounds and the smells, and knowing that there's large, big, dangerous game near and about really brings you into the moment and makes you forget. True African holidays, true African safaris are, I would say, proper getaways, proper holidays. Egyptian geese taking it very easy. Maybe it's a bit warm, letting his feet cool down. Savannah, I'm looking for some crocodiles. So far, nothing yet. Okay. So there's been quite a few dead catfish apparently. I wonder what that might be from. Was it before the rains, I suppose? We had a lot of fish die last year, if you remember, with that sort of algal bloom that happened in here. The very low water, so the temperature got to a certain level. Oh, okay. Can you go straight across there, that bird? Just a bit more right on the other bank. There's a Egyptian goose there. Yeah, that one there. Got a couple little chicks. Hello. Hello, little Egyptian goose goslings. The goslings are back, everybody. Here are two of them. I still think James needs to do a book called the Where Have the Goslings Gone? Grazers. Okay, so there's they are, and Savannah wanted to see a crocodile. So back to the opposite bank, all the way to the left, BK, to the other bank. And a crocodile sitting there. There we go. Left. Oh, up. There we go. There we go. Down. There he is, sitting in amongst 1,000 blacksmith lapwings. There's more blacksmith. I suppose there's actually more people on standby for the lions than there are blacksmith lapwings over there. And the crocodile just chilling. No, I don't think I've seen that many either. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I counted 30. Oh well, everybody, that's what happens as soon as we start taking and relaxing a little bit. Then everything becomes so easy, as James can tell you.
It is quite astounding how this happens. It really is. Yeah, FM. There's our queen. Can't see her belly yet. Still got her there, Seb. Okay, let's move. Let's move. There she is, I've got her there. car suddenly decided to get stuck there. Where is she? You see her? Where are we going? Must I stop? I see. Yeah, she got a nasty wound on her leg there, which we noticed yesterday. Yeah, and I don't want to sound alarmist, but many of you have noticed what we've noticed as well, and that is that her belly looks very flat, and not fat, and not saggy like it has been. Careful, Seb. There's a bit of sag there. There's a bit of sag there. Now, this is interesting because she's going basically into the drainage line where she gave birth to these cubs. Yeah, we got a gap there. Oh, all right there, Seb. Okay.
Well, sorry about that, everybody, but when James goes into the drainage, quite often a signal can get lost. So we do apologize. I'm sure he will be back up and with us shortly. Oh, let's go over here quickly, BK. We've got a squirrel being chased by a lapwing. Right over here, just on our 3 o'clock. 2 lapwings chasing a squirrel. Wow. I've never... There we go. There we go. Quick, 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 quick. Look at that. 2 blacksmith lapwings thinking that the squirrel is after their eggs, possibly. Oh, he's moved off and I don't think a squirrel would eat the eggs, but you never know. Squirrels have got the most amazing teeth, and they can gnaw through plastic. I've had squirrels nesting in my bonnet of my car 3 times, and it's not ideal because they eat all the plastic and all the wires. You actually have to park your vehicle if it's sitting for a few days with the bonnet open so that nothing sort of comes in. So I'm just having a little listen. Okay, so we're still on 4. Wow, there are 11 standbys for the sighting, everybody. So basically we're going to get in there, spend about 5 minutes, and then we're going to leave. So let's enjoy our lapwings while we can. That's all I want to do, everybody, is go in there and count the cubs, see what lionesses are there. When we had those tracks, I called the tracks in, and one of the Cheetah Plains guys was actually with one of the Unkuhuma lioness and was busy following her, and she was heading straight towards the kill. So she didn't take part in the kill, but she was on her way there, somehow probably just tracking her sisters by scent on the ground. And when we were driving in the area, we saw the Nkuhuma tracks all over the road where they'd been chasing animals up and down. So maybe it is the one lioness that was missing yesterday has managed to track them all down again. Nice. Well, it's a lazy day for crocodiles. And have any of you out there seen this many blacks with lapwings before? I can't say I have. It is a crazy number. A little bit of a convention. Coming straight up ahead there at 11 o'clock by the trees is an elephant on his way down to the water. Straight to the end of the pan. Right there, coming in the trees, BK. A bit more right. We got him. Straight to the end of the pan and go straight to the trees at the back there. You can see him walking. A little bit more right. There we go. Hello, my boy. I'll just let people know there was someone talking about it. Our stations at one Madora and Lovo on his way to Chitwamati from the Moanini. Got visual from Chitwa Dam Wall. So obviously this elephant is walking away from where the lions are. So there's quite an accumulation of people hanging around in and around the area, all sort of trying to kill a little bit of time, trying to wait for some space to be made available. And I just love sitting at a watering hole, having a cup of coffee, and you never know what could happen. So sitting here, we've had Osana pop up. Taylor had Subui once before. Tingana materializes. Tandi's been around. Herds of elephants. James had wild dogs chasing Impala into the dam. It really is quite a place to be around water. And if you ever have a bit of time to kill, just sit around water and take it easy. I spent 3 nights around a dam in the Timavati 2 years ago, I think it was, and we saw the most incredible sightings just sitting there. We were there all day, and we had some food and had some drinks and just chilled for 2-3. I think it was 2 nights, 3 days. We saw, I think, 12 rhino. Had rhinos fighting. We had wild dogs killing or chasing an impala into the dam. Hippos killed the impala. Hyena arrived. Lion arrived. Which was just incredible, and all you do is just sit and wait, and these animals will just show themselves to you, which is very special if you've got time and you've got the patience. Going in self-drive safaris in the Kruger Park, it's quite tricky to find animals sometimes. So if you a lot of it's blind luck if you're not able to track. So the best thing you can do is just find a nice watering hole, a little bit of shade, park out, and enjoy, and let the animals come to you, because, well, animals have to drink. The problem with this time of year, though, is that there is water in abundance all over the place, so it's not that difficult, it's more difficult to find the animals, but you can still be lucky in them coming to larger water sources to drink. But it's not a fail, not a certainty in the summer months. Okay, well, we're going to stay right here and keep you updated on what happens with the lions, and let's go see if James has managed to find Tandy again.
Well, what we've managed to find is that she's not going towards the den. She's heading towards the vulture's nest road, so she's actually heading pretty much towards the area we found her in the other night, which is quite interesting. Duncan is still with her in this relatively heinous block to try and get through. Carol, yes, she would still be nursing. She'd be nursing for another 4 weeks or so. This is full Stickville through here. There she is. Kirsten reckons that she's got circle marks. Well, she may well. Let's hope that she does. Go again with that message. Go again with your message. She's looking quite saggy. I must say she looks saggier than I thought she looked yesterday. Now where are you going? Well, this is bizarre. That's a nasty wound. It really is a nasty wound. She's not limping at all. It probably looks nastier than it actually is. Full sticks through there, eh? She looks like she might be coming back to the road. Yeah, let's try and carry on. Oh, very nice. Let's go to the Vov. He's got an interesting sighting.
We do indeed. Well, an elephant is drinking, I don't know if he's drinking out of a small plunge pool there in front of one of the chitwa rooms, or if he's managed to break a pipe. That might be a jacuzzi, everybody. Ugh, that can't be the tastiest of water unless it's very, very fresh. I can't quite tell. I think that's room 11 or 7. I'm not sure. I can't remember. There's always that one that Hosana used to walk past it. Room 11. I think room 11 is actually next door. I can just see the roof through the bushes. So that's the one next to it. And this is Chitwa Lodge, everybody. And there was a hippo having a big snort. So why would you drink out of a jacuzzi when you've got this beautiful big dam in front of you? Elephants are very picky when it comes to drinking. And sorry about that, everybody. You didn't miss too much. Sorry about the gremlins. We are down to standby 2, everybody. It's really started to move quite quickly. This male elephant, though, maybe he's going to come and have a drink of some proper water, or maybe he's going to splash it on himself, get nice and muddy. He's a youngster. He's probably in his early 20s. 24, 25. You can tell by the fact that the eyes and the tusks, it's not very wide. Okay, well, he's going to come down and drink. James has caught up with Tandy again, and let's go spend some more time with the Queen.
We're just trying to get our way through the windy, impenetrable stick forest. She's somewhere over here. Can you still see her, Seb? There she is. She's just over there. The tail up. I wish she'd turn this way because she is heading into some serious bush. Oof. Well, we don't have a choice. We must follow. It's just us in the sighting. going to be interesting. Right. All I heard was Eve. Okay, let's go back to Steve.
Yeah, well, the elephant decided he didn't want anything to do with the water. He's now slowly walking the other way. He made a very quick movement towards the water from his jacuzzi drinking spot and then just turned around. I don't quite know why. The slow ambling of the African elephant moving back off. You can see the game path that it's on, the hippo path, utilized by elephants and rhinos, all of our general game, predators. Makes it so much easier to travel along. Silent movement, access to water. Kita, I do indeed. I carry a thermos for coffee in the morning, not in the afternoon. Although the other day I wish I'd brought some chai tea with me. It was so cold. This is Peter from Nkoro driving past there. Just gave him a little bit of a high five. I've been working in the bush for a very long time, and coffee in the morning on game drive is something that became a standard for me many years ago, and I really struggle not having coffee out here. It's that moment you really look forward to, and it's a moment that most people look forward to, getting up at 3:30, 4 in the morning to be on game drive, and then you drive around bumbling. You might see all sorts of amazing things, but there's something very special about that moment when you get off and have a coffee in the middle of nowhere, or a tea, or if you like something stronger, why not? You're not driving or working. As I was saying before, it is one of those elements that are very important in the game drive. Also gives people the opportunity to stretch their legs, also gives the opportunity to have a bit of a toilet break, and then also to communicate with you directly. Because sometimes as a guide you'll find yourself on a vehicle with a number of guests, and one or two of those guests often try and take as much of your time from you as they possibly can, leaving others to sort of just sit and wait for your attention. And if you're not very aware of that, you'll have certain guests that will monopolize your attention, or should I say take all of your attention, and you've got to be very careful not to give one or two guests everything. You've got to spread it amongst them. And when you're off the vehicle, it's a great time to get to know your guests, a great time to get them to talk to you a little bit, tell you a little bit about where they're from. Everybody, or most people, know something about coffee and something about a gin and tonic or something, or a beer. It's a good time to talk about those sort of things, and then touch base with regards to where people are from, what do they do for a living, because it's often not that easy to do it while you're on a game drive looking at hippos, trying to find out exactly what BK does. It's not the opportunity to discuss that. So when you are having your sundowners or coffee, you are hosting, and it's a great time to sort of let your guests do a bit of the talking, and you can just sit back and enjoy. Okay, well, James is doing it this morning. He's staying with Tundi. Let's see how long he manages to do so.
Well, hopefully she'll come and have a little drinky over here. Nope, no drinky. Just going to go straight past the front. She's marking the whole time, leaving scent the whole time. She's sort of weaving up and down. By that I mean she's not picking a fixed direction and walking there, so I don't think she's going to a den right now. But I could be wrong. I'm hopefully wrong. This looks like hunting behavior to me. A little bit of phlegm and grimace. Yeah, Dove, it does look like she's walking wearing heels, and that's because essentially she is walking wearing heels. They all do, because they walk right on the tips of their toes, and so if you watch them carefully, it does give exactly that impression. The heel is so far up the back of the leg that they can't ever walk on it. No, Di, she's not trying to confuse everyone. She's had nobody with her for so long that, you know, she's not trying to pull the wool over our eyes. She's listening and watching and marking. I haven't seen her this far north for a little while. No, that's not true. We saw her this far north when we saw her on Cheetah Cuff Line that one time. Christy, you say she looks hungry. Yeah, she looks like she could eat, certainly. I agree. I don't think she looks desperate. I've seen her look thinner. But this kind of lack of willingness to walk in a straight line along a road tells me that she's after something to eat, I think. And remarking her territory, or worried that she's going to bump into another leopard maybe. No, Cal6, I don't think there would be a fight if she bumped into Tlalamba. I think Tlalamba would extricate herself quite quickly. She might give a bit of a growl, but I think that they have an established boundary. I don't think there'd be a physical fight, but there could be. Thandi is not known to back away from a physical fight. We've watched her attack her daughter, Guchava. We watched her attack her sister, Shongile. We've watched her attack Osana. So she's smelling other cats or something there. Black Widow, no, she's not close to where she was yesterday. She's quite far from where she was yesterday. I thought she might be heading back to that area. I thought she might be heading back to the area from 2 nights ago, but she isn't. This is the same area the lions were in yesterday evening. And it's actually the same area that I walked the other day. Remember when I said it was such a beautiful walk in the afternoon? I came out just sort of up there. If she goes in there, it's going to be impossible to follow her. Sunset cycling, leopard pea, has a very distinctive smell, and as many of our long-time viewers will tell you, it smells exactly like popcorn. Literally exactly like buttered popcorn. It's quite remarkable. Ooh, Sebastian, I hope you've got your gum guard in. Kirsten says she hopes I've got my goggles. I do have my goggles. Now we've got to try and get across here. Uh-huh. She's crossing now. Okay, we're going to be Sisyphus here. Watch out there, Seb. Alright, let's go to Steve while we get through this tricky area.
Well, thanks, James. We are on standby 1 at the moment as we just navigate our way just around the back of Chitwa. I think we might be getting called in now. I think we're almost being called in. Give us another moment. Just listening. The radio is very staticky, and then you every now and again hear some clear words. So we're not far away. Just on the Chitwa driveway to the access with Gowrie Main. We could see it from the road. It's just on the other side of the road, on the Torchwood side, so between the fire break and the main road. 11 standbys still, can you imagine? I mean, what we started on standby 7, which means that we've gone forward 6, and there's been another 5 on there, 4. Incredible. We don't get that sort of pressure on our side, which is actually quite pleasant. Ladybug Sarah, I'm not sure. I haven't heard any updates about the males. All I've heard Andrew was on his way and now he's taking his time. I don't think he realizes that these 11 standbys behind him. Oh my word. Anyway, all I've heard is that the evoker, the unkuhumas with the mampimpan, which is the babies, have killed the giraffe. That's all I've heard. I haven't tried to ask too many questions because the radio is very loud and busy. So there's lions, they've got to kill. It's very busy, and if the males are there, we will find them. In the tracks, when we were looking at the tracks there, I definitely saw a track of what looked like a male, but sometimes Amber Eyes has got that really large foot that can make it a bit confusing. It's not the clearest of tracks in this sort of hard sand, so it looked like a male to me. No doubt, just like the one lioness would be able to track the pride down with her nose, so would the evoker boys. And like I said earlier, I don't know if the females on their own have got what it takes to take down a giraffe without that extra added strength and weight. But I've been proved wrong before. Standing by. Okay, we're going to go through, and let's send you back over to James and Tundi. Yeah.
She's still going through this thickety area. We've got into a bit of a clearing. Let me move here. I think there's a great big log there. Is there? Yes. We'll still make it through there. This is where I walked the other day, as I said, and there are lots of nice places for a leopard to put her cubs, if she has got cubs. Apparently you all got a stick in your eye there. I'm so sorry, everybody, to put a stick in your eye. Beautiful grove of tambuti trees up ahead here. Lovely. Beautiful light there. Off she goes through the timber tie. Oh dear. Watch your legs, everybody. Many of you are now complaining about your injured eyes. Well, you know, you did see what happened to me, so, you know, you need to buy yourself some goggles. The light in here is just stunning. The highway, however, through here is poor. You think so? You don't think you can just lift it over? No, probably not. Get ready. Good call there, Sebastian. Good call. Hang on. She's just about to chase a duiker. She's hunting a duiker. The antenna on this car is an absolute heaving nightmare. The duiker went running off. She's hunting it now, for sure. But if she goes off in that direction... Watch eyes, everybody. Close your eyes. There she is. Lydia, yes, this is the quintessential definition of bushwhacking. There she is. She's just through here on this game path. Yeah. Sebastian, I think open is a very strong term for what that is. It's open over there, he says. Yeah, we're just driving through this open area now, Sebastian, through this vast Mara-like clearing. I'm going to push it over first. No, don't come back. Is there a road there? Well, Central's not too far. Oh yes, so it is. Has she gone onto it?
No, I think she's still here somewhere.
Oof. Put your head.
Yeah, sorry. What's cooking that now?
I don't know, a stick somewhere. Oh no.
Sounds like it's in the car though.
No, it's not.
Not a snake, is it?
It's not a snake, no. Where's the cat? There's just a noise in the car. It's a stick that's stuck in a piece of the drivetrain. Ramona, you say you keep ducking and keeping out of the way. This is not good. I'm pretty sure she crossed this road. But which way? Oh no. This is how fast they disappear. She was coming up this way. The squirrel shouting in there. Helen, you say the slip. There's a squirrel going wild in there. Seb reckons she's still in here. The squirrel reckons she's still in here. Hooray, the brave and patient Steve is about to get to the lions. Let's go and have a look at them.
We are about to. Just waiting for that person who called me in to leave. They call me in and then they sit there. And then you come and there's 4 vehicles. Protocol, protocol. Anyway, here we come. There's the lioness crossing the road. And there are the Djuma Pride with lots and lots of cubs. Now it doesn't look like an enormous giraffe, everybody. I don't see a male. Let's get you onto the side here, shall we? Okay, hang on. There's more there than I thought. Let's get you in the best position here. Okay, good morning, Djuma Pride. Morning, morning. Okay, now this is going to be a good time to count. Wow, this has been killed for some time. Okay, BK is going to show you the lions with the cubs, and I'm going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, everybody, it's quite a sad event happening right here because the lioness under the tree is eating what looks like a giraffe fetus. There we go, that one right there, BK. They've seemingly caught, it looks like a fetus to me, unless they've pulled a leg off and put it over there, which I don't think so. Okay, so I still haven't managed to get a proper count here of these cubs. They've been obviously here for some time because they've finished eating. They're looking quite full. The lionesses are moving around. It's quite interesting. They must have caught this ages ago. They must have caught it a while ago. That's why when tracking the female before, the Cheetah Plains guy was following her here. They must have killed this quite some time ago. And wouldn't it have been amazing to see it taking place right here in the middle? And no one saw this, so who knows what time this happened. People were coming, the tracks are coming from Chitwa. They actually probably went to go and drink. I think maybe that's why that elephant did what it did. It came down, it looked a little bit upset, and then charged away from the water. The lions had probably been down by the water and had a drink, and then picked up on the trail of this giraffe. You can actually see, if you go to the right, BK, on the neck, where that youngster's now climbing, you can see how they've been covering it in dirt to try and prevent or to keep it invisible from vultures. But I'm going to lie and say that that's not a very good job if you're trying to cover the giraffe and keep it hidden from aerial scavengers. There is a very big animal over there. Look at that little youngster on top. On top. I'm on top of my castle. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 cubs there by the kill that I can see. There might be one all the way inside. There might be one also by the belly. Rosemary, that's, those sort of things are also possible. Hard to say though. The telltale sign when you find a predator on a baby animal is to generally have a look at the hooves, because if an animal is stillborn, its hooves are still waxy. If it's stillborn, or if it's a fetus pulled out of the tummy, it will never have actually physically walked on the ground. So the hooves will be still waxy and very smooth and clean. There won't be any scratches or any dirt on there. So I might try and reposition so we can get another view. Let's reposition so we can get a view. You're actually happy with that. That's actually quite a nice shot. But those lionesses there are going to have a little bit of a fight over the fetus. Let's get around on the other side. 4, 5, 6, 7 cubs at the moment. Morning. So we get a look at the hooves of that young giraffe over there. It's hard to say. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lioness again. So I haven't eaten an enormous amount of it. Oh, there is a cub inside, everybody. Let's not look at the fetus anymore. Go right into the belly. Right there on the right, there's a paw. Right there. Can you see the paw? Just on the right there. Oh, he's pulled it back. There's a cub all the way inside. Look at that. Okay, so I'm not sure if that's one I counted already. Isn't that cute? Isn't that just the cutest? So everybody, unfortunately, this is what happens in life. You know, lions need to eat, but then also, you know, animals get killed. Unfortunately, it is the part and parcel of what happens to being out here. And this giraffe and her offspring will go a long way to supporting the lion pride and their offspring. I still only got 7 cubs. Lisa, oh my word indeed. Now these lions have been feeding for some time. The giraffe's at the same sort of stage it was when we found the Djuma Pride on that giraffe of power lines about a month ago. They're at the same sort of development, or should I say, same sort of level of eating. This is very cool. I know it's quite hard to see, everybody. That baby giraffe is dead a long time ago. It is sad, but the cubs will do very well with this sort of meal. Okay, Pepper, it is a lot of emotions. It is sad. It is the circle of life, and it is good for the cubs. And you know, we talk about it all the time, everybody, that this environment, these animals are designed to hunt large herbivores such as a giraffe. But the giraffe is also very good at avoiding being hunted by a lion. That's why we don't see a giraffe being killed all the time. But to go back to a point we were discussing earlier, can you come back to the tummy there? Just in the sand in front of the tummy there, BK, of the big dead giraffe, there's a couple dung beetles in the ground. Just down, 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 right, a little bit more right, and down. Maybe there's some dung beetles around there. There we go. You wanted to see some dung beetles in action, rolling some balls. There is the rumen content of the giraffe being scooped up. Now, dung beetles of this kind can find fresh dung within minutes of it being dropped, and the rumen is it's pretty much dung anyway. It just hasn't gone through the final sort of liquid removal process. So you do get a lot of dung beetles and all sorts of flies, and it's quite a process where this giraffe has been killed, because where you see it, if we just pan out, we are on the fire break now, so it's hard to really say it's going to do too much to this area. But a giraffe being killed in an open patch like this, the ground underneath it is going to get extremely disturbed for a few days. Once the lions have finished doing their thing and defecating all around, there's obviously the stomach content everywhere, which gets lapped up by the dung beetles. There's maggots will grow on the meat and dung beetle larvae on the dung. And then the vultures, when they move in, will sterilize this area with their droppings, and you'll get an enormous nutrient hotspot right here on this enormous area created by the kill. And those are little microclimates as well, where different pH will be added to the soil because of the different dung, different nutrient content, and different covering of whatever happens, and also disturbance. So the grass gets pretty much destroyed, and so it's quite an interesting thing. You'll see different species of grass might grow out there. A little bit of a compost patch. As I said, the pH is changed by the amount of dung and scat specifically deposited. Okay, everybody, I've got 8 cups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. Unfortunately, we are still missing one of the little ones. Okay, well, James is on the move. I think he's possibly lost Tundi.
Yeah, we've lost Tundi, everybody. I don't know where she's gone. I got totally disorientated in that block, but I mean, that's not why we lost her. We lost her because she just went into some very thick stuff. Now, I've walked this drainage line, as I said to you. There are lots of great places for a leopard to hide. This is where we came out. Now, she changed direction when she saw that duiker. I don't know. Oh, okay, let's go back to the cubs.
Thanks, James. Oh, we're going to be staying here for another 2 minutes, and then we're going to be making some space for the other 10 standbys that are keen to pull in and come have a look. This will be here for the remainder of the day and probably tomorrow as well. Hello, Big Head. The radio is a very intricate sort of tool, and the first person in here would have called it in, and then he would have been in control, and then the second person and third person to arrive. As soon as the first person leaves, then he hands over to another person. It's sort of the person who's someone takes control. There's always a senior person around, but any guide working out here should be able to control the lineup, should be able to control what's going on. But as soon as they leave, they hand it over to someone else. So when you're in a sighting like this, when it gets this busy, generally what happens is you get the 1, 2, and 3 people at the sighting, and then someone goes on first standby. Now the person on first standby controls all of the standbys, which allows the 1, 2, and 3 to actually enjoy a game drive or a sighting with the lions while the chaos is going on. And then as soon as 1, 2, or 3 decide to leave, then slowly down the order it starts to go. Well, as I said, can we go back to the belly there, please? Linda, I don't know if they realize if the cubs are missing. I mean, you don't really see. We haven't seen any change in behavior, but it's something with lions that you notice. Sometimes they give up or they forget very quickly. They might do some contact calling. They might spend an afternoon or a morning really searching for the other cub, and they just know that when a cub is missing for a little bit of time, they sort of fate is sealed in a way, and it's sad to think that is possibly the case right now, but it's been 3 days since we've seen the 9th cub, and it's not that easy for 9 cubs to survive the first year, so 8 at the moment. I dread to say that one is gone, but it's not looking very positive, having been a couple days without seeing it, and it's one of the smaller ones, which means they're quite vulnerable. Even the two that Ridge-Nose has got are also too young to be left on their own. But cubs can go for a few days, a number of days actually, without mum. Mum goes off searching for food, and quite often you can have 3-4 days the lioness not returning back to the scene to feed the cubs, and they survive. Dr. Rob, lions will hunt whatever's available, and I haven't seen a buffalo in some time. We've been seeing lots of giraffe on the property, so generally the biomass, or should I say the density of a certain prey species, will then indicate how often that animal finds itself on the menu of a lion. So that's generally what happens, and we haven't seen many buffalo around. They love buffalo, and they love tracking them down. I don't know where the buffalo have gone. They've probably, because of the rains, gone all the way to the eastern parts of the Kruger, where there's basalt plains and very nutrient-rich grasslands. That's what I'll assume, where I'll assume the buffalo and probably the zebra have gone to go and enjoy the nutrient-rich soils that side. Even a lot of the giraffe will be moving east as well. The stunted knobthorn felt over there provides enormous nitrogen-rich acacia bushes for the giraffe to feed on. So they do move in response to the rains, in response to where the food is. But this poor giraffe didn't manage to get away. Yeah, no, they are calling. Yeah, just on the right, this one. This one in the middle. PK. Yeah. This one in the middle. These are the ones calling. Yeah, yeah. There's a cub busy meowing at her, and she's contact calling the cub that she's licking. So it's a meow. Meow. Look at that belly. Just to the left. Look at that belly. Oh, have you had enough meat this morning? A little boy with a very dirty face. Look at those feet, everybody. Those are the probably a little bit smaller than the tracks I was showing you. I'll show you tracks of the two older boys. So that track you can see still a little bit small, but you see 3 or 4 or 8 of them, then you know that you're definitely following lions and not a pride of leopards. Oh, how adorable is that, hey? How adorable is that? Okay, so far I haven't managed to identify the pregnant lioness. I haven't seen her yet. I'm going to keep looking though. Oh, hang on. Is that her there? Yeah, she's here. She's here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One walked off. I don't know where the other one's gotten to. There we go. There's the pregnant lioness. Well, this is where the lions will be today, this afternoon. The vultures are starting to arrive in the big tree far off in the distance, but they're not landing just yet. A little bit of tension between the lions here. This lioness looks like she's going to go have another snack. Plenty of meat to go around. So when you have such large carcasses like this, you don't generally see the same amount of sort of aggression that you find when there's a smaller kill. So there's lots to go around. So all the cubs, all the lionesses will get plenty of food. And you don't get out-competed at a prize like this. Okay, so everybody, I've done a count 5 or 6 times, and there are only 8. All I can count, unless there is one hiding inside of the belly. What a fantastic morning. It's just nice to be out here. You never know what you will see on safari, everybody, and you never know what you will find if you just head down any road. I wonder how many people drove past this morning. Not easy to drive past a dead giraffe on the road with a pile of lions. Well, I hope you've all enjoyed the safari this morning. It was really nice that James was able to find Tundi. Hopefully she will lead us at some stage to her den site. James has been working really hard at that. I was trying to give him a hand this morning. Amazing how she just materialized in an area that we'd been checking quite deliberately. Well, we look forward to seeing you again this afternoon. Thank you from Final Control, Kirsten and Louise, James, Sebastian, myself and BK. Look forward to seeing you later today. Thank you for all your questions and comments. We hope you have a wonderful day further, and we will see you this afternoon, same time, same place. Until then, have a good one. Goodbye.